Welcome to EchoShade, where history whispers its darkest secrets and forgotten stories.
For centuries, history has been filled with emperors, conquerors, kings, queens, and bloodlines that shaped the fate of entire continents. But the most haunting stories, the ones that refuse to fade, are not about rulers who sat on thrones. They are about the royals who vanished. A disappearance inside a royal palace is not just a crime, it is an earthquake that shakes the foundations of power. A missing princess does not simply leave behind an empty room. She leaves behind a kingdom full of questions and a silence that roars louder than any army. This is the story of Princess Aurelia Valentina Arcelia, a name that once echoed through ballrooms, council halls, and temples. And then one night, simply disappeared as if reality had swallowed her whole. A princess born in golden chains. Aurelia was born under what astrologers called a crown star night, a rare celestial event believed to create rulers destined for glory or tragedy. In her case, perhaps both. Her kingdom, Valentoria, was an empire of marble cities, towering citadels, and strategic coastal power. Anyone born into the Valentorian royal family was trained from childhood to be cunning, poised, and dangerous. Aurelia, even as a young girl, learned 6 languages, mastered diplomacy. Before she was 13, could recite military strategies with eerie precision, and had a photographic memory that intimidated even her tutors. But what made her unforgettable was not her intelligence, it was her presence. She had a calmness that felt ancient, as if she knew something others didn't. Yet behind her grace, there was a loneliness, the kind only those born inside palaces know deeply. A cage made of gold is still a cage, a kingdom preparing for war. By the time Aurelia turned 20, Valentoria was quietly preparing for conflict. Neighboring kingdoms had begun forming alliances, and spies whispered of weapons being forged beyond the mountains. A future queen like Aurelia was not simply a royal daughter. She was a political chess piece, a bride-to-be, a bargaining tool, or a threat. But Aurelia had something the council didn't expect. She had begun secretly meeting with scholars, rebels, and philosophers who questioned the monarchy itself, not out of rebellion, but out of curiosity. She wanted to understand her kingdom, not from the throne, but from the streets. If the council had ever discovered this, she would have been locked away, or worse. The day before she vanished, on the last day anyone saw her alive, Aurelia behaved strangely. Witnesses noted she dismissed most of her attendants early. She wrote several letters, but sent none of them. She visited the palace library, unusual at night, and she spent nearly an hour staring at an old tapestry depicting a forgotten queen. But the strangest of all was her final public appearance. During a midday gathering, she walked through the palace gardens with a distant expression, then stopped beside the fountain. The water's reflection shimmered over her face as if she were searching for something. A general approached and asked if she was feeling well. She replied, "Some storms aren't meant to be seen, only survived." Hours later, she would be gone. The night of the disappearance, the night was unremarkable. No festival, no royal meeting, no disturbance. The palace guards reported nothing unusual. The corridors were quiet. The torches burned low. Everything appeared normal. And yet, somewhere inside those quiet marble halls, the kingdom's greatest mystery unfolded. Aurelia's personal maid entered her chambers at dawn for the morning routine. But the moment she stepped inside, the world shifted. The bed was untouched. The room was too silent. The curtains were still drawn. The lamp had burned itself out, something Aurelia never allowed. And the air felt cold, unnaturally cold. When the maid moved toward the balcony, she noticed something gleaming on the floor. A hairpin. Not just any hairpin, the one Aurelia wore daily, a golden pin. Shaped like a crescent moon, it was snapped in half. The maid screamed. That scream echoed through the palace like a battle horn. Guards stormed in, ministers followed. The queen collapsed upon hearing the news. The king ordered the palace gates locked and not a single person allowed to leave. A royal heir had vanished. No forced entry, no broken doors, no footprints, no blood, no witness, just silence and a broken hairpin. The room searched. The king's personal investigators examined Aurelia's chambers inch by inch. They found no signs of struggle beyond the hairpin, no hidden letters, no notes, no clothing missing, no jewelry missing, and no indication that she packed anything. It was as if she had stepped into thin air. Then they noticed something almost invisible, a faint reddish-brown smear on the curtain rope, blood, but not enough to indicate injury. It was smeared deliberately, as if someone with blood on their fingers brushed the rope by accident or as a message. The investigators froze. Someone was in her room that night. Suspects, a kingdom in panic. The disappearance of a princess is not a simple crime. It is a political catastrophe. The palace immediately considered 3 possibilities. Theory 1, kidnapping by a foreign power. If Aurelia had been taken by an enemy kingdom, it could mean war. But kidnappers usually leave evidence or demands. Ransom, threats, letters. There was nothing. No foreign symbols. No secret messages. No witnesses at the borders. It didn't add up. Theory 2, an internal palace plot. This was the theory whispering the loudest. Some believed a rival royal faction took her, a power-hungry minister plotted her removal, or someone wanted to prevent her future marriage alliance. But who inside the palace had the ability to remove a princess from a locked room without being seen or heard? Theory 3, Aurelia escaped herself. Impossible, they said. A princess does not leave without clothes, money, guards, or supplies. But those who knew her knew she was not an ordinary princess. She had studied escape routes, geography, and surveillance patterns. She knew where the guards rotated. She knew which walls had hollow spaces. She knew the palace better than anyone. So the palace asked itself, did she run from us, or from something inside these walls? The blood on the rope, the smear on the rope, became the center of the investigation. Royal physicians determined it was Aurelia's blood. The quantity was small. It came from a cut on her finger, a wound that could happen in one of 2 ways, accidental or forced. The fact that her hairpin was snapped suggested a struggle, but a small cut did not match a kidnapping scenario. So investigators wondered, what if she left voluntarily but someone tried to stop her? Or worse, what if she tried to leave and someone inside the palace helped her, but later betrayed her? The palace guard logs. Every guard signs a duty log. Every shift is registered. Every corridor has rotation patterns. Yet on the night Aurelia vanished, one guard's signature was missing, a guard assigned to the eastern corridor, the one closest to Aurelia's chambers, never signed in. When questioned, he denied involvement, claiming he fell asleep in the barracks. But one detail destroyed his excuse. His boots were covered in dust from the eastern wing. He was arrested immediately, but before he could be interrogated the next morning, he was found dead in his cell. No wound, no poison, no struggle. His heart simply stopped. Or so the palace claimed. The kingdom begins to tremble by now. The disappearance had become a storm. Nobles demanded answers, foreign allies questioned, security merchants feared rebellion, priests called it an omen, and common citizens whispered that the princess had been sacrificed. The king ordered total secrecy. But secrets leak like water. Soon, the entire kingdom knew Princess Aurelia was missing. and no one knew where she went, how she left, or who took her. What followed next would redefine the Empire, not just because of the investigation, but because of the chilling discoveries that came after. The disappearance of Princess Aurelia sent a tremor through Valentoria, not the kind that cracked marble columns or shook palace bridges, but the kind that quietly destroyed trust. People stopped smiling at night. Nobles refused to walk alone. Servants whispered prayers under their breath. And the palace became a living cage of suspicion. For every guard, advisor, counselor, general, and member of the royal family now lived under a silent question: what do you know? Because someone, somewhere inside those walls, knew the truth. But the first real crack in the palace's carefully crafted lies came from an unexpected place. Aurelia's journals, the forbidden diaries. On the third day of the investigation, after hours of searching hidden compartments in her chambers, a servant found a small wooden box behind the tapestry Aurelia had stood in front of the night before she vanished. Inside the box were 3 leather-bound journals, locked with a brass clasp shaped like a phoenix. The royal council tried to suppress the discovery. The king wanted them burned, the queen wanted them buried, but the High Chancellor insisted on reading them. And what he found changed everything, because Aurelia was hiding something enormous. The journals revealed secret meetings, coded letters, hidden passages, and even detailed sketches of the palace's restricted areas. And one line written on the final page of the last journal sent chills down the Chancellor's spine. If they discover what I found, they will kill me before dawn. This was written the day before she disappeared. Whatever Aurelia had found, whatever truth she had uncovered, it was something worth killing a princess over. The hidden passage behind the tapestry Aurelia had stared at, wasn't just a piece of art. It concealed a secret. Behind it, investigators found a narrow stone indentation, the outline of a small hidden doorway. It opened with pressure applied to a single loose tile. When the door creaked open, the air that escaped was cold and stale, as if no one had entered the space for decades. Inside was a narrow stairway descending deep beneath the palace. Not a servant's passage, not an escape tunnel. This was older, ancient, far older than the palace itself. The investigators followed the staircase, torches flickering as they descended, until they reached a massive underground chamber with carved symbols on the walls. Symbols that matched the ones Aurelia had been researching with scholars. Symbols tied to an old Valentorian prophecy. When the blood of the crown uncovers the forbidden truth, the empire will tear itself apart. The chamber was empty, except for one thing: a fresh footprint. Aurelia's footprint. She had been there, hours before her disappearance, but she was not alone, because next to her footprint was another, larger, heavier, belonging to a man. Aurelia had met someone down there, someone the palace never acknowledged, someone who might have taken her or helped her escape. The missing pages, though Aurelia's journals were rich with detail, there was one glaring problem. A section of pages had been torn out, not ripped hastily, but removed cleanly with a blade, professional, deliberate. The missing pages were from the most important part of the journal, the night before her disappearance. What she discovered, who she met, what she feared, what she planned. Everything essential was missing. The palace insisted they weren't the ones who removed the pages, which left only 2 possibilities. Aurelia removed them to hide something, or the person she met removed them after taking her. Either way, the truth had been carved out of her own words. The dead guard's last words, the mysterious death of the guard assigned to Aurelia's corridor, was officially declared a heart failure. But no one believed that, especially after the palace physician, accidentally revealed a detail he wasn't supposed to. The guard's tongue was discolored, a sign of poisoning. A silent, quick, undetectable poison used only by royal assassins. So the guard didn't die of guilt. He didn't kill himself. He didn't collapse suddenly. He was eliminated. Someone silenced him before he could talk. Someone with access to the assassin's poison. Someone inside the palace. But what investigators found under his pillow changed the entire direction of the case. A small folded paper with one sentence: "She is not what they think she is." The handwriting didn't match the guard's. It matched Aurelia's. Had she met him? Had she warned him? Had he witnessed something that made him a target too? The plot was thickening by the minute. The prince with cold eyes. Every royal family has one member who knows more than they say. In Valentoria, that was Prince Cassian, Aurelia's older brother. Aurelia loved him. Cassian protected her. At least, that's what the kingdom believed. But ever since Aurelia disappeared, Cassian had been strangely calm, too calm, while the king raged and the queen cried and ministers panicked. Prince Cassian simply stood silently in the shadows, watching, listening, calculating. When investigators questioned him, his answers were sharp, cold, and controlled. Did the princess tell you of any threats? No. Did she seem distressed that day? No. Did you speak to her before she disappeared? No. But the palace servants told a different story. Aurelia and Cassian had a heated argument hours before she vanished. Witnesses said Cassian stormed out of her room with rage on his face. When investigators confronted him, he simply replied, "My sister had a bad habit of asking questions she shouldn't." He did not elaborate. He did not apologize. He did not seem worried. And when one investigator asked, "Do you think she was kidnapped?" Cassian's answer was chilling. "Kidnapped? No. Aurelia doesn't get kidnapped. She walks into trouble on her own." That night, Prince Cassian ordered all palace records on Aurelia's scholarly work confiscated. Why? What did he not want the world to know? The unseen stranger servants reported seeing a mysterious man in the library days before the princess vanished. He wasn't a guard, wasn't a scholar, wasn't a noble, and no one had the authority to let him in. He wore a dark cloak, gloves, and a bronze pendant shaped like an eye. The palace portrait artists sketched him based on witness descriptions, but no royal register matched his face. He was a ghost. But Aurelia's journal mentioned him once. He spoke of truths buried under stone and lies built into the throne. Who was he? A spy? A rebel? A foreign informant? Or something far older? The underground chamber symbols matched the pendant he wore. This was not coincidence. This was connection. Aurelia had found something dangerous, and someone dangerous had found her. The secret letters. Her personal desk was empty when investigators searched it, but hidden under the floorboard beneath Aurelia's bed, they found 7 letters she wrote but never sent, each addressed to different people. One to her mother, one to Cassian, one to her childhood tutor, one to the High Chancellor, one to a foreign prince. She was betrothed to one to the palace priest, one with no name. Only one letter was fully finished, and it read, "If I disappear, tell them it was not by accident. What I know cannot remain buried any longer. I fear I trusted the wrong person." The remaining letters were incomplete, unfinished sentences, half-formed thoughts, ink splatters, and lines crossed out violently. But the last letter, the unnamed one, had one phrase written clearly: "The lion's shadow hides a serpent." The royal crest of Valentoria was a lion. Was she calling someone in her own family a serpent? The prophecy the monarchy banned Aurelia's research wasn't random. It revolved around a forbidden prophecy, outlawed centuries ago. The prophecy warned of a royal heir uncovering a hidden truth of the royal bloodline, being built on lies of a secret that would destroy the monarchy from within, of a missing crown heir who would become a symbol. The monarchy executed anyone who tried to interpret the prophecy. Aurelia was studying it in secret. She had discovered something tied to the throne, perhaps even to her own identity, and someone wanted her silent. The throne room confrontation. 7 days after her disappearance, the royal court held an emergency meeting. Ministers accused each other. Generals argued over foreign threats. Scholars accused the church accused the scholars. The queen fainted, and the king roared like a wounded beast. But when Prince Cassian entered the hall, silence fell. He said, "Stop looking outside the palace. The enemy is inside these walls." Then he looked directly at the High Chancellor and said, "Some truths were never meant to be rediscovered." Was this a confession, a threat, a warning? No one knew. But the Chancellor, trembling, replied, "Your sister found those truths." Cassian smiled, a cold, cruel smile, and walked away. The hidden map in Aurelia's torn journal. Investigators found a faint imprint, as if she had pressed too hard while writing on a previous page. They rubbed charcoal over the page to uncover the indentation. It revealed a hand-drawn map, not of the palace, not of the kingdom, but of the underground chamber network beneath Valentoria, a system of tunnels, chambers, forgotten caverns, and sealed passageways older than the monarchy itself. And on the map was a circle around a specific area, marked with one word, a single word that froze the blood of every investigator. Found. What did she find down there? Evidence, a body, a secret identity, a forbidden truth. Whatever it was the reason she vanished. The underground map Aurelia drew wasn't a random sketch. It wasn't a scholar's curiosity. It wasn't a mere exploration of old ruins. It was a warning. Her last, desperate attempt to show the world something she wasn't allowed to say out loud. Because beneath Valentoria's marble towers and golden palaces, beneath the royal bedrooms, the banquet halls, the chapels, the throne room, lay another kingdom, a hidden kingdom, a kingdom built on secrets, blood oaths, and forgotten truths. A kingdom Aurelia was never supposed to enter, but she had, and that was the beginning of her end. The Tunnel of Echoes, the entrance to the underground network, was located behind the hidden door in Aurelia's chamber. But the staircase she descended was only the beginning. At the bottom, where the air grew colder and the torches burned weak, was a long tunnel carved from dark stone. They called it, in ancient texts, the Tunnel of Echoes, because if you whispered a word, it traveled for miles. Aurelia wrote in her journal, "These walls, they listen." But the strangest detail? Her footsteps never echoed, and neither did the footsteps of the person she met there. The underground was designed to absorb sound, perfect for secrets, perfect for conspirators, perfect for someone who wanted to move unseen. The guard who wasn't a guard when investigators inspected the tunnels, they expected dust, cobwebs, and forgotten carvings. Instead, they found footprints, fresh torch marks, recently disturbed dust, and droplets of wax from a candle someone had been down there recently. But the biggest discovery came when they found a discarded piece of cloth near the entrance to the second chamber, a strip of fabric from a guard's cloak. Except, all palace guards claimed none of them had entered the underground. So investigators checked the cloak stitches. Royal Guard stitching was a unique pattern. This one was different. A fake cloak, meaning someone had been impersonating a palace guard, possibly for weeks, possibly longer. This fake guard had access to Aurelia's corridors. He knew the rotation schedules. He knew the blind spots in surveillance. And he had walked with Aurelia into the tunnels. Whether she went willingly or was lured was still unknown. The chamber of the first king, the second chamber the tunnels led to, was larger, circular, supported by ancient pillars carved with serpents and suns. It was here that Aurelia left a charcoal mark on the wall, a small crescent moon, her secret symbol, and in the center of the room stood a stone throne. Not the golden royal throne of the palace. This one was older, darker, rough, carved before the Valentorian monarchy existed. Scholars who were secretly summoned confirmed something shocking. This was the true original throne. Older than documented history, older than the kingdom. The monarchy had always claimed the first Valentorian king built the empire from nothing. But this throne suggested something else. There was a forgotten king, a dynasty erased from history, a bloodline intentionally hidden. And right next to the throne was an inscription. Aurelia copied it in her journal. The one who sits here holds a truth the crown cannot bear. Aurelia had uncovered the thing the royal family feared most. Their power wasn't legitimate. Their dynasty wasn't original. Their claim to the throne wasn't pure. They were the usurpers, not the rightful rulers. This truth alone was enough to get a princess killed. The blood test Aurelia had been researching the ancient bloodline for months. In her journals, investigators found notes on genetics, lineage symbols, forbidden names, the Serpent Bloodline, and a series of blood purity tests. But the strangest note was one written in a shaking hand. My blood matches the serpent seal. Not the lion. The lion was the symbol of the ruling dynasty. The serpent was the symbol of the erased dynasty. Meaning, Aurelia suspected she wasn't truly a member of the royal bloodline, or worse, she was descended from the forbidden dynasty. If this was true, then Aurelia had no rightful claim to the throne. She wasn't a princess by blood. She was something else, something dangerous, something the current dynasty could never allow to exist. A living proof of their lie. The betrayal inside the royal family. When investigators presented the blood theory to King Alistair, his reaction was explosive. He threw the journals, shouted at the council, broke a vase, ordered the tunnel sealed. But when he thought he was alone, a servant overheard him whisper, "I told Cassian this would happen. We should have ended it when she was a child." That sentence spread through the palace like wildfire. What did he mean? What should they have ended? Why Aurelia? Why only her? Prince Cassian was questioned again. This time he didn't deny their past fights. He admitted something far worse. She found the tests I ordered. Blood tests? The investigator asked. Cassian smirked. I needed to know if she was truly my sister. And then he added, let's just say. The results were interesting. Cassian refused to say more, but his meaning was clear. He knew Aurelia wasn't legitimate, and he viewed her as a threat. To the throne, to the dynasty, to him. The stranger with the eye pendant returns 2 days later. A servant came forward with new information. She had seen the mysterious cloaked man again, not in the palace, but in the underground market streets of Valentoria. He wasn't hiding this time. He was recruiting, asking strangers, have you heard of the Serpent Bloodline? He had been searching for something, or someone. But then the servant gave the chilling detail. He held Aurelia's broken hairpin, the same one found in her room. He wasn't just involved, he was a central player, and he wasn't done, because the servant claimed he told a merchant, the princess lives. The first real lead for the first time since her disappearance. Investigators had a real clue. If Aurelia was alive, she wasn't being hidden in the palace. She wasn't held by foreign forces. She wasn't dead in the tunnels. She was somewhere else, somewhere connected to the Serpent Bloodline, the ancient throne, the underground tunnels, and the mysterious, cloaked man. And then a final message appeared. a scrap of parchment left on the palace gates at dawn. Written in Aurelia's handwriting, you buried the truth, but I found the crown you fear. And beneath the words was drawn the serpent seal, the symbol of the forgotten dynasty. The symbol Aurelia claimed matched her blood. The city of Valentoria had never been more tense. Whispers traveled faster than the wind. Rumors carried fear from the palace gates to the farthest villages. The disappearance of Princess Aurelia had become more than a mystery. It was a legend, a riddle no one dared solve. But for Aurelia herself, the story was far from over. The hidden city below the underground chambers, tunnels, and secret passages were only the beginning. Beyond the deepest tunnel lay a forgotten cavern. And inside, Aurelia discovered a hidden city, perfectly preserved under layers of stone and shadow. This city had once been the capital of the Serpent Bloodline, the dynasty erased from history. Its streets were empty, yet immaculate. Its walls were etched with stories older than Valentoria itself. And at its center stood a massive throne, carved entirely from obsidian, adorned with serpents coiled around crowns. Aurelia stepped forward. Her heart pounded in rhythm with the silent heartbeat of the city. She realized she wasn't just uncovering a secret, she was discovering her true legacy. The cloaked man appeared behind her. "You found it," he said, voice echoing through the stone halls. "And now you understand why they tried to erase everything." Aurelia turned. The man removed his hood. It was not a stranger, it was her guardian, an ancient protector of the Serpent Bloodline, appointed centuries ago to watch over the heirs, the forgotten blood, and the secrets of the throne. "Your family feared the truth," he continued. "They will do anything to destroy what you now hold. The truth about the bloodlines." The cloaked man explained everything. The Lion Dynasty, Valentoria's ruling family, had seized power centuries ago by overthrowing the Serpent Bloodline. They rewrote history, destroyed records, and executed anyone who remembered the old line. Only one serpent heir had survived, hidden and protected by secret guardians waiting for the day the Lion Dynasty could be exposed. And now, Aurelia understood the chilling reality. Her entire life, the palace, her privileges, had been a lie. Her bloodline was real royalty, the true heirs to Valentoria's original crown. The Lion Dynasty had feared her because she represented the restoration of the Serpent Bloodline. Aurelia's journals, her explorations, her secret research, all of it had led her here. And now she had a choice: reveal herself and reclaim her throne, or remain in the shadows and protect the secrets of her bloodline. The palace falls into chaos back in Valentoria. Rumors of the princess's survival ignited a powder keg. Prince Cassian had grown desperate. The king issued orders to search the underground city, unaware of its true nature. Ministers, scholars, and guards turned against each other, each suspecting betrayal. Every hour, the Lion Dynasty's grip weakened. The city's people whispered that the princess might return, and with her, the rightful bloodline. The confrontation with Cassian. Cassian discovered the hidden tunnel map in Aurelia's abandoned journals. Fury burned in his eyes. He descended into the underground labyrinth with an army of elite guards. But Aurelia had anticipated this. She knew the tunnels, the hidden passages, the traps, every stone, every shadow. Cassian confronted her at the edge of the Serpent City. "You dare claim the crown," he shouted. "You are no princess of Valentoria. You are a thief, a rebel, a liar." Aurelia stood calm, the weight of her lineage behind her. "I am what your family tried to erase," she said softly. "I am the truth they feared. I am the serpent, And this throne belongs to me. Cassian lunged forward. Guards followed. But as they stepped into the ancient city, the tunnels shifted. Stones fell. Walls rotated. Secret mechanisms long forgotten activated. The Lion Army found themselves trapped. The very tunnels designed to conceal the Serpent Bloodline now protecting it. The choice of power Aurelia's guardian spoke. The city protects the heir. Do not hesitate. This is your moment. Aurelia approached the obsidian throne. She placed her hand on the serpent-carved armrest. The walls glowed faintly. The symbols on the pillars pulsed like a heartbeat. It was more than a throne. It was a test of legitimacy. The city itself would recognize her or reject her. Aurelia closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. She recalled every lesson, every secret passage, every trial that had brought her here. The city trembled, the air shimmered, and then it was still. The throne accepted her. The fall of the Lion Dynasty word spread quickly through Valentoria. A princess had returned, but not as the Lion Dynasty expected. The hidden chambers, the tunnels, and the Serpent City were revealed to a select few loyalists. Aurelia's claim could not be denied. Her bloodline, her discovery, her courage. Undeniable. Cassian, humiliated and defeated, had no choice. He swore loyalty, though secretly he remained bitter. The king and queen, faced with undeniable truth, had two options: accept Aurelia as the rightful heir, or be forever erased from history. History favors the bold. Aurelia chose mercy. She allowed the Lion Dynasty to survive, but stripped them of power. They were observers, not rulers, and thus began a new era in Valentoria, one built on truth, justice, and the hidden legacy of the Serpent Bloodline. The legacy of Aurelia. Aurelia did not seek revenge. She sought restoration. She ruled wisely, blending the wisdom of the Lion Dynasty with the justice of the Serpent Bloodline. She reopened forbidden libraries, restored ancient records, and honored the lost city below. And she always remembered one truth: the greatest power lies not in the throne you sit on, but in the secrets you uncover and the courage to face them. Princess Aurelia became a legend. Not just a ruler, not just a princess, not just a mystery, but the living proof that truth cannot be buried, no matter how deep the shadows.